and whippoorwill call. And evening is night, I hurry to my blue heaven.
Yeah, g'day, welcome to part 2 of reviewing players at the midpoint stage of the season. Check out the previous episode of My Blue Heaven where I went through jumpers numbers 1 through to 11. Let's continue on. Jumper number 12, Tom de Koning. Not much to say other than had a really good pre-season and then obviously hurt his knee. I think it may have been in the last VFL practice match. It has just come back really and played the last 2 in the VFL. So check Seva's VFL reports out for how Tom de Koning's tracking in the VFL. I'm pretty sure that he had a poor one against the Doggies, but wasn't too bad in his first game back. So hopefully he can string a few games together in the VFL and hopefully we'll see him at some stage in the back half of this season. Jumper number 13, Liam Stocker. Yeah, Liam Stocker. Hey, that pick that we really don't want to speak about at the moment, considering we're sitting on the bottom of the AFL ladder with just 2 wins to our name and obviously exchanging number 1 draft pick with the Adelaide Crows at this stage, number 1 draft pick, considering we are on the bottom of the ladder. However, let's just talk about the positives. Liam Stocker played the 5 games, came in at a really difficult time, made his debut against the Kangaroos in that insipid display at Marvel Stadium. Thought he acquitted himself pretty well in that game. Strung together 5 games and is now out with a bone stress reaction in his foot, which we don't like to hear a lot about. So I reckon they're going to be pretty cautious with Liam Stocker for the rest of the season. They will not be playing him. If there's any concerns there, we're lucky to have Andrew Russell on board. We'd love to see him maybe in the last month or so. Played predominantly in the back half. What I like about him, I like his body size. I like his ability to keep his feet in traffic. And I like his aggression, particularly around the ball and also off the ball as well. He's not scared to get his hands dirty. Looks like he doesn't take any shit as well. We don't have a lot of those players on our list. So the fact that we're also getting a year into him in the AFL system is really good. We'd like to see him at some stage in the midfield. He's a beautiful kick, good hands, good vision. He is a midfielder, but the concern is his tank, which he'll obviously need to work on over the next 12 months or so. But given time, I think we're going to see a pretty good footballer and we're going to be pretty happy with Liam Stocker over the next 5 or 6 years. So just give him some time. He's averaging 13.5 disposals in those 5 games, which is pretty impressive for a kid coming into a poor team. I thought he quitted himself pretty well. Liam Jones, yeah, what a tragedy, hey? Missed the last 6 after that collision with Cameron Zurhaar. And just disappointing because he was having such a fine year. I had him coming second to Cripper in the B&F count. Was rarely beaten in one-on-one contests. Seemed to really redefined his game after having a really different season last year. He's strong at the contest, good intercept mark, courageous, and he's a real rocket Gibraltar down there in the back half. And look, luckily Levi Casbott's come on and sort of filled the void to a certain extent. But I just hope, I know he's back at training now, Liam Jones. I just hope he comes back really healthy and there's no repercussions with that head injury because he's just one of our favourites at the moment. He's such an important player, and at 28 years of age, we'd love to get 2 or 3 more years out of him. I know he's out of contract at the end of this year. I'd love for the club to make a commitment to him. I know they'll probably hold off a little bit to see how he goes, but gee, he deserves 2 years and even possibly 3, and that will take him to 31. And he's still got plenty of good football ahead of him, Liam Jones. So fingers crossed he can come back in the last 9 games and just sort of continue on where he left off. I just thought he was absolutely fantastic, particularly when we're under the pump. Sam Docherty, great news to see that he's signed on for an extra year, which will see him through the end of 2021, I think it is, which is great news for Sam Docherty. And he's another one, a little bit like, not so much as Liam Jones in that coming off 2 knee reconstructions now, that he can come back really healthy. There's always a concern with that now. Co-captain, terrific player, and we've just forgotten how good he was. So, it's going to be a really interesting off-season to track Doc's progress. I don't think we'll see him this year. There's no need, if he's not ready, to be rushing him back, and I don't think that will happen this year. So fingers crossed for Sam Docherty. Darcy Lang. Ooh, where do we start? Nearly 24 years of age, former Cat, former #1 draft pick. He strung together some 20-odd games in a season at the Cats and looked like he had a little bit of ability. He's come across and only played 11 games in the 2 years or the season and a half thus far, and just 1 game this year after spending pretty much the whole pre-season running laps and in the rehab program because of a foot injury. It's hard to judge, isn't it? It's hard to judge Darcy Lang because you just never see him at full fitness. Out of contract as well. Showed a couple of signs last year in his 11 games as a high half forward who can pinch hit in the midfield, and he's a goal kicker. But to see him go down against the Bombers in that game and hurting his quad, and I'm pretty sure he's might be back now, but it's going to be a tough ask for Darcy Lang to show something in the last 9 games to show that he's worth a spot on our list next season. I've got my doubts. I just don't think he has the body for the AFL, and that's a real shame because at 24 years of age, he's probably in the perfect age bracket where he should be having more of an influence at our young football club. So it's a big watch for Darcy Lang in the last 9 games, and obviously the most important 9 games of his football journey thus far. Let's go on now to Sam Walsh. What more can we say, eh? And look, the comparisons with Walsh, or not so much the comparisons, but the scrutiny and dissection of Sam Walsh probably over the last 6 or 7 weeks from those in the media in regards to, scrutinising him, should have we taken him with pick 1, are pretty much disgraceful, really. I think what this kid has been able to do with the #1 draft pick mantle on his shoulders has just been quite amazing. We're just so lucky to have him, averaging 25 touches. His kicking is getting better. There's not so much a question mark, but his penetration's getting a lot better now. Would like to see him kick more goals. I think he kicked the 3 goals so far this season. I think hopefully he can add that to his repertoire as we move forward. His work rate, his ability to get from contest to contest, and the thing I've loved about Sam Walsh's season is not so much the possessions. It's the fact that when we've been down, which has been a lot of times this season, particularly in first halves, it's been him. He's been the one constant. Even when Cripper's down, Sam Walsh was always there, and particularly the game against Brisbane. I know a lot of focus was on Patrick Cripps in that game, but if you go back through the tape, have a look at Sam Walsh's first half when the pressure is on. He was unbelievable. So his attitude to football. He's obviously going to be a leader of our football club for such a long time, and obviously Porter are lucky to have Rosie, and the Swans are lucky to have Nick Blakey, but I tell you what, we've got the one. We've got the bloke who's the complete package as a footballer, and we just rap for him. Every game so far, still 18 years of age, 9 to go. What a wonderful year, Sam Walsh. I think he's actually coming runner-up behind Cripper in the best and fairest, which is quite staggering. Angus Schumacher, yet to see him. Second season player, defender, beautiful kick. Slight in build, has shown some signs in the VFL, and he's been emergency a couple of times, but yet to crack it for a game, which is a bit of a concern considering we are a young team, and the fact that he hasn't been able. He's probably the only one really that hasn't cracked it for a game from last year's draft. Is probably a little bit concerning for himself. He's been knocking on the door. We'd love to see him. We'd love to see him get a game, but obviously he's not deserving of it at this stage. So, Yeah, interesting to see what happens to him at the end of this year. 2-year contract. It's just about to come to the end for Angus Schumacher. So could he be another Dylan Viojo Rainbow where doesn't play a senior game, sort of halfback flanker, sort of light type? We'll just have to wait and see. So, yep, big last 9 weeks for Angus Schumacher, particularly in the VFL, just shows some consistency. Lachie Plowman, whipping boy, another whipping boy. He's right in that that fantastic age bracket, just about to turn 25. Played the 85 games now. His body seems to be pretty sound. He missed half of last year with that knee injury, but this year, obviously, he had the cracked cheekbone after that incident against the Collingwood. So he's so important for us because he's reaching that age group where we don't have a lot of that experience. His moments this year, I suppose his negative moments have been much publicised. From a fan point of view, obviously the last seconds against the Gold Coast Suns with his efforts there, and obviously the couple of kicks he had against the Saints where he went up the guts, and the one late where he didn't go up the guts, and he seemed to have copped it pretty hard. Look, I think he's still a really important player for us because he has the ability to really shut down the opposition's most dangerous small forward. We've seen him do a good job on Charlie Cameron, and we know how dangerous he can be, and he showed that on the weekend against St Kilda. Kept, I think, Cameron to 1 goal and really did shut him out of the game. Did a really good job, which went under the radar a little bit on Robbie Gray in round 2 as well. Robbie Gray always seems to give us headaches, and he did a pretty good job on him. And I thought when Degoe played forward, spent a bit of time in the midfield when we played Collingwood, Jordan Degoe. But when he went forward, I thought Plowman actually acquitted himself quite well on Jordan Degoe. Look, he's at that age where he's starting to play consistent football, and I think he's not a superstar, but I just think he's going to be important over the next couple of years, and particularly if we want to allow the likes of Callum Marchbank and also Jacob Weitering to play more of that sort of intercept role and peel off their man, and Plowman can actually really lock down on the side, smaller forward or even a medium-sized forward. He needs to get a little bit better in regards to that sort of lockdown player on the likes of an Isaac Heaney, who gave him a bit of a hard time. But look, I think it's been an okay year for Lachie Plowman, and fingers crossed he can finish off the year pretty well. Jarrod Garlett, look, I don't think he'll be at the club next year. I just don't think he's come on the way we'd have liked to. Played the 11 games this year and got an opportunity through the JLT in the opening games of the season as a small rebounding defender. Look, he showed some small signs, but the fact that he couldn't hold his spot, and he's gone back now to the VFL, and he's having those games in the VFL where he just has no impact at all. And occasionally you'll see that he's done a few nice things, but he's rarely in the best at VFL level. And you think a bloke of his talent, he should be really tearing it up at VFL level, which is a concern for me. And, look, I'm happy the fact that, what did we cough up? Pick 58. He was a former first-round draft pick of the Gold Coast Suns. Had some issues, went back home to Western Australia. Look, we took a punt on him. Pick 78. It's almost a rookie. Hasn't quite worked out. Let's just hope that he doesn't drop his head in the VFL for the rest of the season. I know he's been emergency a couple of times over the last 5 or 6 weeks, and maybe we will see him again before the end of the year, but I think the writing's on the wall that Jarrod Garlett won't be at the club in 2020, it will be. Callum Marchbank, great to see him come back after virtually missing the whole pre-season with that mystery sort of back ailment, which they couldn't put a finger on at the club. I think he went under some sort of procedure to release that pressure on the back, and he's come back looking pretty strong, which is credit to the medical staff, and also a credit to Andrew Russell, who I think we just really trust that we've got someone who sort of knows how to bring these blokes back, just hold them back give them a sort of mini pre-season to make sure that they're ready to go. And the fact that Marchbank's been able to come back and play 11 games in succession. I remember last year it was just disastrous for Caleb Marchbank. He'd go out for 2 weeks, come back, hurt himself, go out for 3 weeks, come back. And it was just a write-off. But now we're seeing some consistency in games. He's closing in on 50 games, still a youngster. When he's on, when he marks the ball really well early, he reads the ball beautifully off the boot in the back half. He's the classical intercept defender. And what I have noticed when I attend training is that he's really focused on improving his ball use from the back half. The ball that goes out wide, he's worked really hard with one of the assistant coaches, Brett Stanton. They spent a lot of time together on his kicking skills. And to be honest, I reckon that's an area that has improved in his game this season. I thought he was a poor user of the ball last year, and even in his first year at the club, it was always a concern. And I think that's an area that he's really increased. Obviously, his best game was against the Pies, 23 touches and 9 marks. He was outstanding. Probably hasn't quite reached that level since. He's a high possession winner in the back half, so that's probably one of the big reasons why he wants to really work on his ball use. He's not your classical lockdown defender. So yeah, he can be beaten, particularly in the air and around the ball, but obviously it's an area we'd like him to continue to improve. But his game is to peel off and become an attacking player out of the back half. So I reckon it's been okay for Caleb Marchbank, and let's hope 9 more games to go in the season. He can. He can string 20 games for the season, which will be a real plus after missing the whole of the pre-season. Jacob Weitering, I think he's probably been. Would he be the number one positive to come out of the season? I'm just sort of racked my brain, but I think the form of Jacob Weitering, I don't. Look, he's been beaten a couple of times this year, not for the whole game, but in quarters he's sort of been a little bit off. Against the Saints, he was beaten in a few one-on-one contests. But he's second in the competition for contested marks as a defender. Only Jeremy McGovern, get that out, has taken more contested marks as a key defender than Jacob Weitering. He looks more confident. He's 196 centimetres, he's 100 kgs now, he's a big boy. And I just think he's had a really, really solid and consistent year. Still 21 years of age and played 70 games. That's a real plus. And he's not going to start... we're going to see him really even blossom even more over the next couple of years when he becomes really confident in himself. I'd like to see him still become a little bit more aggressive in obviously the way he plays, but also in his demeanour and his body language. He sometimes looks like he's got the world on his shoulders, Jacob Weitering. He's sort of a real serious type. Obviously going to be a future leader of the football club. But yeah, it's just been a really good year. And I reckon since obviously Liam Jones went down, he's really held that back line together, which is fantastic that a young bloke has been able to do that. So it's a massive tick so far for Jacob Weitering. And the final one in part 2 I'm going to talk about is Nick Newman, the former Swan, who is unlucky only to play the 11 games. He missed a couple of games after hurting himself against the Hawks. I thought his form up until that game in Launceston was outstanding. I had him in the votes in round 1, and then I had him in the votes again in our win against the Western Bulldogs. But I think his form has tapered off a little bit in the last 5 or 6 weeks. He seems to be kick chasing a little bit. His ball use hasn't been particularly good. At times his body language hasn't been great. I've seen him berate teammates at times, which I didn't think he had that in his game, which is a little bit disappointing. Must remember though, I know he's 26 years of age and we got him across as an experienced body, which he is, but really he's only in his 3rd season of AFL football, 2 years at the Swans. I know he did spend a whole year in the NEFL in his 1st season, but really only 2 full seasons at AFL level, and obviously this year with us, he's just played the 42 games. So he still is relatively inexperienced, averaging 20 odd disposals a game, but he does do a lot of the designated kicking in from full back, so that probably boosts his stats up a little bit. He's another one that just needs to finish off the year really well. I'm pretty comfortable with Nick Newman as a one-on-one defender, and he has the ability to run off and provide some offensive weaponry as well. Love to see him go forward a little bit more. He's kicked a couple of goals this year, but that's a real weapon that he's got to his game, that ability to drift forward and kick a goal. So hopefully we can see a little bit more of that as the year progresses. So yeah, it's been okay for Nick Newman. Let's see how he goes for the rest of the season. That's a wrap for Jumpers numbers. What did we go through? 12 through to 24. I'll be back over the next couple of days to finish off. And here goes my pussycat. Okay, this is there you go. This is Fleur. Say hello. Yeah. Okay, we'll put you down there. I'll be back over the next couple of days, and we'll finish off these player reviews. Got a massive game against the Fremantle Dockers coming up on Sunday, so looking forward to that. Feels like it's about 3 years since we had a game of football. So please subscribe, and I'll see you guys again shortly.